Saw you at the Braves game last night. How'd that go?
Wow, what a ballpark! That might be the nicest setup I've seen in a baseball game. It was sick, and like all the stuff they have around it, like the restaurants and bars and stores. It's an event. I see why the Braves are like super popular. It's pretty cool.
Nice. You're catching up on some stuff. Who'd you go that? You went to that with Wayno or what?
Yeah, it was a few of the boys. Yeah, Biz came, Wayne's son, my son, and when you go with Wayne, it's the class is always first. So it's always good to ride his coattails anywhere he goes. It was pretty cool.
So I guess we're going to see you on the TNT panel tonight. What can we expect here?
You know what? Expect the unexpected. They're like the kings of not telling you like what's going to go on or how it's going to go, and then you show up there, and I think that's part of the reason it does well. They kind of, a lot of it's off the cuff, and so you got to be ready. Don't get me wrong, they do a ton of planning. All that stuff goes into it. Liam McHugh does a heck of a job kind of orchestrating and directing everybody in what to do, but I'm sure they'll have something set up for me that I'm going to have to navigate my way around.
Well, John, tell us, we've been talking coaching lately. It's kind of a carousel right now. It's an era of swapping coaches out to try to make changes. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think it puts coaches kind of on the hot seat? They don't have a fair amount of time to get things done or to make the changes or implement the plans they want. What's your thought process on the carousel of coaches in the NHL right now?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, is what it is. It's different from the seat I'm sitting in because I've been extremely lucky in the situation I've been in to be able to be with a team for as long as I have. A lot of these guys I've grown up with now in the league, I call they're colleagues, but many of them are friends, and so it's tough to see at times. I think in the era of social media has probably influenced some things at times, in the sense, I fully understand like professional sports and the passion fans have, and you know what, we're in the business of winning, and so when you don't do that, fans understandably get upset, and so there's that balance between, as an organization, of going in a direction and also trying to satisfy a fan base that is passionate. And that's what's great about hockey, is we have phenomenal passionate fans, and that's why our buildings are so much fun to go in and to play and coach in and coach against. But there is some residual shrapnel that comes with it, and sometimes it's a coach losing his job, and so it's always tough. I wish guys could stick with their guys a little bit longer, but I also get today just everything happens so much faster today, and I don't have the answer. I don't, because only one team at the end of the year is going to win.
How do you keep the message fresh if you're a coach, knowing that about the league right now?
Well, it's different for me because I consider myself part of the core of that group, and we have a core group, and we've grown together. We've gone through heartbreak together. We've won together. And I think my relationship with some of these guys might be a little different than a brand new coach coming in. There's a little bit more understanding of where we're going. But I do think there's a belief. There's a belief in the players and the coach, and there's a belief in the coach and the players. And when you kind of got that trust, it's built over time. It's probably made it a little different for me than for some coaches, that are coming in for the first time.
John, speaking of coming in for the first time, I was on that Marlies team that you guys beat to win the Calder Cup in the American Hockey League. You guys were a joke. It was like playing shorthanded the whole time. You had that group absolutely flying. I thought I wasn't with that team the whole year, but they were quite good. Going through the playoffs with them, they knew what they were doing. They were well coached by Dallas Eakins, but we got to the finals against you guys, and it was a joke. And that got you your start. If you could go back, what were the things that made that happen? Obviously, you've implemented them at the NHL level. what advice would you give to a young coach coming into the league who's trying to make his mark?
Well, that was an interesting time. That was like lightning in a bottle with a team, because we had, and you know how it is, like you in the American League, you need that veteran guy that still wants to win, that is a great team guy and willing to usher in the new blood. And that new blood with that team was like Anze Platt, Tyler Johnson, Radko Gudas, Richard Panik, Alex Killorn. And then we were blessed with, some, PC Labrie and Mike Angelidis and Mike Koska, and we just had that blend. So that's what made that group special. And it was very much, I think the Marley group was somewhat similar to that. But that was a big thing in giving me my start, because when we went to the NHL, we all went together. Yeah. And so I was really fortunate in the timing. I remember after we won the Calder Cup that year, I got interviewed by 2 NHL teams, and I eventually didn't get those jobs, obviously, but it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because I think if I get those jobs, who knows where I end up. So I think timing was really on my side, because the next year I coached one more in the American League, and I'd been 3 years. And then I thought, you know what, now I'm probably ready. Whereas the year before, I probably wouldn't have been as ready. And so the timing really worked out for me in that scenario. But luck's got to be on your side a little bit, right, too. And I was really fortunate to have that team. And so great teams make average coaches look good, and that's what they did for me.
Right, I would say you've done pretty damn good, John. Before we let you go, we are a Leafs show. Obviously, there's been a lot of turnover in this division. Craig Berube lands in Toronto. What'd you make of that?
Funny, I talked to Craig not yesterday, the day before. We talked about the whole process. I have a solid friendship with him. I hate when these guys come into our division and I'm buddies with them. So, but I think he's a hell of a coach. I think he gets the best out of his players. I think, honestly, I thought Sheldon Keefe did a heck of a job there. We played them the last 2 years in the playoffs, and they were a hard. But Craig will be a different voice for them, and I'm not sure what he's doing quite yet with his assistants, but he's an honest coach. And if fans of the team want to get the most out of their players and have them, I know the way he's going to play, and it's going to be hard to play against. But the one thing he'll make sure he gets out of the guys is an honest effort, and that's what Craig does.
Is that what you think's missing in Toronto? I mean, they've had these high offensive, high octane players and just can't get it done in the postseason. What would your message be as far as getting hold of that group, or what do you think the changes need to be made? What do you think Craig's going to do to implement more success in Toronto?
It's hard. That's hard for me to say because I'm not in the locker room, but I will tell you this. I mean, we played them in the playoffs the last, couple years. One, we had to eke out an overtime win in Game 6 and then win a game in Game 7 to get through them. The next year, they went right through us. The team, that's how close the Atlantic is. Like at the time, it was Boston, Tampa, and Toronto, and any one of us could have beat anybody. And now Florida's in the mix, and they're kind of push themselves past the four of us. It's so hard to get out of the Atlantic, and I think you get judged on winning one playoff round or not winning a playoff round. I think it's tough. The Leafs, I mean, they won a round against us. They could have won other rounds, but I don't think people understand how hard it is to do. And it's not like the Leafs went through any of these and got blown out. They were right there, and it's just a bounce here or there, and they've advanced. So I think in what I've seen of the Leafs, everything's been pushing in the right direction. They got a heck of a core. Now they got a new coach, so we'll see what happens. But like I said, playoffs are all about going on a run, and one of these years they're going to go on a run. It's just what year is it going to be?
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.